Welcome to Knicks.com. Jonah Ballow here with assistant coach Kurt Rambis. It's time to look to the game against the Cleveland Cavaliers, the first matchup of the season against the Cavaliers, Eastern Conference champs, the team that went to the finals. They're 3-1 to start the season. Really not a lot of changes on the roster, coming back with pretty much the same group. Obviously, they're healthy now. The first question I want to start with is Kevin Love.
They're not quite healthy. You got Kyrie Irving, who's
true.
still
Thank
out,
you for correcting. When he's a pretty important piece, too.
Yes.
But Kevin Love, a guy you're familiar with in your days in Minnesota, it seems as if they're trying to get him the ball a little bit more in the early games this year. Do you see that as well?
Absolutely. Because Kyrie Irving is out, number one, they're trying to get him more opportunities to score, whether that's outside in pick and pop situations or driving kicks to him so that he can knock down outside shots. It helps them open up the floor for all their other drivers, but they're also giving him some touches inside where his post-up game has dramatically improved, so he's doing a real good job of scoring inside and out.
Defensively, how do you approach a guy like Kevin Love and what he can do on the floor? You mentioned some of the key components there from a defensive standpoint and what you have to tell your bigs. How do you approach that?
Well, you got to find the correct matchups. I think we do have several bigs on our team and smalls if you want to look at that 3-4 combo kind of player that can end up guarding him. But they've got to do a good job on the post of trying to keep the ball out of his hands as much as possible. And then you've also got to have a good guy that can box him out because he's a very good offensive rebounder. And then you also have to have somebody that matches up with him that can not only guard him inside but is mobile and active enough to be able to guard him in pick and roll situations so that they can get to his pick and pops when he does run pick and rolls. And also somebody that's active enough that can help on penetration but then is quick enough to run out to the three-point line and contest his shots.
Wow, great stuff. Kevin Love also going with the mustache and the long hair. What do you think of that look?
I wish I had his hair. Mustache.
Sort of looking like the Laker, Kurt Rambis.
I don't know about that. He's definitely got a lot more hair. I wish I had it.
Mo Williams is starting at point guard for them. And like you mentioned, Kyrie Irving out. A little bit of a different type of guard there. So you played against some speedy ones in the first couple games here. How does that affect your guards and your backcourt defense?
Well, Mo still wants to push the basketball. That's where Cleveland is really dangerous because they have very good rebounders in their bigs, and they've also got guys that can push the basketball, LeBron James being the premier ball pusher in the league because he's so dynamic with the ball. But Mo does a really good job, too, of pushing the ball, whether he's scoring for himself or delivering it to his teammates. But his ability to break down his individual defender is going to collapse our defense. So we've got to get everybody back so that everybody can be facing the basketball, slow down their break. We definitely want them playing half-court basketball.
You know, in my eyes, it seems like LeBron has adjusted his game since Miami. I could be wrong here. You can correct me. Do you see a different type of player in what he does and how he's operating in Cleveland as opposed to what he did in Miami?
Well, he's a much more mature player. He really understands what he has to do to help his team, and because he's so unselfish, he does whatever it takes to help his team win. And if that means he's got to score, whether it's inside or outside, he's going to have to deliver that. And if it means involving different people, executing their offense, he's willing to do that too. But his nature and what's really inside of him is to distribute the basketball. That's really what he wants to do. But you've got to figure out how to get in front of him in transition, whether he has the ball or not, because he's so athletic and so powerful that he can just get to the hole virtually against anybody. So if he's got the ball in his hands, we need to have all five guys looking at him so that he sees a very crowded paint and wants to settle for outside shots.
And just hit the 25,000 point mark, which is pretty incredible. I believe the youngest player to do so.
That's correct.
So you look at the Knicks and what they've done so far and what your squad has been able to accomplish. 2-2 is the record, but we've seen a drastic improvement obviously this year and just seeing how the team has operated. What have you seen so far in the early goings on with this squad and what they've been able to do?
Well, we're very pleased with the progress of the ball club at both ends of the court. We've got virtually a whole new squad out here, so we've had to go through training camp and teach everybody what we expect of them and how we want them to play together. They're a long ways away from being where they need to be, but I think the team sees the potential. We show them on tape things that they're doing correctly, things that they're doing wrong, especially when it comes to executing the offense. When they get organized and everybody's familiar with what we're running, then they really get good shots. But there are times, and it's a lot of times in ball games, they don't get organized, and that's when they really struggle. So the good teams are able to maintain that ability to stay organized, move the basketball, shift the defense, and get quality shots for a longer period of time. We're not there yet. But we see dramatic improvement from training camp, and our guys conceptually are understanding what we want to do. And when we get healthy, when everybody is playing, and we have all of our players available on the bench, then I think you're going to see this growth spurt happen with our ball club. But guys are still in this learning mode. They're still in this beginner's mind where they're trying to absorb all of this information. We're not completely connected as a team yet, but we're getting there.
As a coaching staff, do you sometimes have to allow them to grow and let them make some mistakes and feel their way on the floor and maybe not fill their heads too much too early?
Well, absolutely. We're trying to keep things as simple as possible, but we do know that we have to grow, and we have to kind of keep stretching them too. We can't, because if it's really simple, then the other team knows exactly what we're going to run as well. So we've got to be able to have counters, and we've got to be able to expand and grow our offense so that we can have more situations, more sequences that we can go to as the season goes on. And it's preparing us for the playoffs too. When our guys get more comfortable, we want them to be able to not only read each other, share the basketball, but make appropriate decisions. Because when guys have the ball, they're really playmakers in our offense. So they've got to make the right decision, whether it's passing, shooting, or driving.
As fans, and I think people that are all over Twitter last night watching Kristaps Porzingis and do what he does, which is seem to bring something new to the table every game that we see him, whether it's a hook shot, hitting a three, or the putback dunk last night. Do you guys get excited when you see that stuff?
It's always, we're excited for the players whenever things like that happen for them. But we see so much potential in him that those are things that I think after a while, maybe a few years, that those are just going to be redundant. You're going to see him be able to handle the ball in the break. You're going to see him play with his back to the basket and be able to dominate people, be able to pull away from the hoop and shoot three-pointers with consistency, have a nice mid-range game, and also be a nice defensive presence for us. He's just so long, and when he gets used to the NBA game and how physical it is, and he kind of grows up and matures and develops as a human being, he's just going to be one of those real special, rare players that can just do about anything that he wants to out there on the court. I mean, whatever you see now, it's just a drop in the bucket for what's coming from him.
That's incredible to think about. He's 20 years old and he's doing what he's doing right now. Well, 2 road wins for the team. We're excited to see them in Cleveland against LeBron James and the Cavaliers. Thank you so much for your time. This is great.
My pleasure.
There he is, Kurt Rambis, right here on Knicks.com.